How did you first get into triathlon? How did you become interested in it?
Well, I was interested in it from a young age. As I said, during the 1980s, watching it on the Wide World of Sports, that race, Hawaii. And in Australia, it got a fair amount of media coverage. We used to have local races that were on TV, an Australian National Series, and I used to watch those on the weekend. And I was always interested in multi-sport events like the decathlon and that kind of thing. So it was always interesting to me, someone who, a jack of all trades, I guess, someone who had to be world-class in more than one discipline. And I was always interested in endurance sports as well. I was always a big fan of swimming, cycling and running. I watched the Tour de France for many years. I'd always watch the Olympic Games for the athletics and the cycling and the swimming. So I was always interested in triathlon. My main sport growing up was soccer. I played soccer from when I was about 7 to when I was 19. Really had no background in endurance sports other than I used to run the athletics carnival and cross-country carnival at school when that came up each year. And I felt I had a talent for it because I always did pretty well just from the fitness I had from soccer training. But it was an interest I had from the beginning. Even when soccer was my main sport and my main focus, I was always interested in other endurance sports. And when I was about 20, I got a hernia. Actually, I got 2 hernias and I had to have them surgically repaired. And I had some time off sport, about 6 months. I was at college at the same time, and I just started running to shed a few kilos and get fit. And one thing led to another, and Greg Walsh, 94, that was another catalyst. He won Hawaii, and that was the catalyst really that launched me into the sport.
What role does your family play in your competitive life?
Well, family is everything. Family is first, of course, and I think every athlete, every businessman, in every walk of life, you need to draw inspiration from somewhere, and that's where I get my inspiration from. My wife and I have been married nearly 11 years now. She's been around pretty much my entire career, and we have 2 young children, so we all travel together, which is great for me. I don't spend very much time away from the kids, which I really love, and they play a huge role in my life and in my competitive life. All the sacrifices that I make, and in particular that the family make, that plays heavily on my mind in the build up to races, and I'm extremely motivated to get the most out of myself, to repay them and thank them for the sacrifices that they have made for me.
Do you have to insist on some accommodations for them, and it's because it's a little bit different perhaps than most athletes a sponsor would be used to, like to have your family, your really tight unit together at the events?
Usually we just look after that side of things ourselves and make sure there's enough room for everybody. I think my sponsors and the race organisers and everyone now know that we come as a package, so usually we're pretty well accommodated in that way.
You spend a lot of time training alone, Craig, and do you enjoy that? And does it make your wife a little bit nervous sometimes?
I do enjoy training alone. Obviously, I try and hook up with certain groups and different training partners when I can, but for the most part, particularly when I'm training for the longer races, I do quite a bit on my own because I think it's not only a physical challenge, the race, it's a mental challenge, and that solitude of training, I think, prepares you mentally. And I think it does make my wife nervous. Obviously, she's been around my whole career. She knows the dangers that you face daily when you go out and ride on the road, and I think it makes her a little nervous, definitely.
Has it been edifying for you to see everyday people set a triathlon as something really to strive for and then go through all the steps to participate?
Yeah, I think triathlon's become sort of like the new marathon running in that respect. There is a large growth in the number of events, which has made them made our sport more accessible to a larger number of people. And yeah, there certainly is. I mean, you go to races all the time, and I'm always amazed at the percentage of first timers at each race, which I think is amazing. Obviously, I'm very biased, but I love the sport, and I love all endurance sports, as I said, and I think it's a healthy lifestyle and it's a healthy endeavour, and it's great for people to set goals, whether it be to win the race, to win their age group, to set a PR, or just to finish. I think it's a healthy pursuit physically and mentally, and it's very satisfying to see how the sport's sort of blossoming in that regard.
Did you ever think of, if you hadn't found your way into triathlon, what you would be doing professionally?
Well, I always wanted to be a professional sportsman, so yeah, I would have dearly loved to be a professional soccer player in Europe. That was a dream of mine from a young boy all through my teen years. Sometimes, I watch a John Grisham movie or read the book and think I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't have minded being a lawyer either. So I'm sure that's much more, or a lot different to what you actually see in the movies, though. So I always wanted to be an athlete, to be honest. But maybe law. I think I would have made a good lawyer. Objection, Your Honour.